and welcome to another episode of Literary Gladiators, the show where we discuss and debate literature in all of its forms. If it's written work, it's game. Let's meet the panel.
Is this when I talk?
No, this is when you talk.
Hi, I'm Kim Broomall. I like young adult books and children's books, and I read constantly, so I guess that makes me qualified to talk about books.
Is this when I get to talk now?
Yep, you get to
I'm
talk.
Charlie.
And I'm Josh. Kim, welcome to our panel.
Welcome.
You pretty much know who Kim is. Kim is a young adult and children book lover.
I wasn't aware I was supposed to wait for him to introduce me,
And,
so...
You're fired. Just kidding. I kid you. No, just kidding.
You're going to have a lot of fun on this show, Kim.
And you're sitting next to
Look
me.
forward to talking to you. We've got two meatballs to my
I love
right.
meatballs. I like the Swedish meatballs. You know, you mix them around. Anyway.
What are we going over today, Zach?
Swedish meatballs.
The Call of the Wild by Jack London.
Okay. Jack London is one of the greatest naturalist writers that there's ever been.
Wait.
And I know he was really popular at the turn of the 20th century.
If there's a Jack London, is there a Jack Scotland, Jack Britain?
No, there's no. There may be a Jack Scotland or a Jack Britain, but as far as I
joke
know,
went out the window.
they haven't published or
A Jack
haven't
Ireland.
done anything notable.
You know what I'm going
There's
with.
people with the last name of Ireland.
Yeah.
The general manager of the Miami Dolphins, who I think he got fired.
Oh.
Correct me.
Oh, you're drinking too much. Ah! Sorry.
Already, what's the first question?
How would you describe Buck?
Dedicated. Very dedicated and loyal.
I think he is he's the underdog that everybody's rooting for.
Was that pun intended, or no?
No, no pun intended.
Okay, I would describe him as...
A dog.
That would be a good place to start, yes. I think he's very smart, but he also is very determined and
Would you say
I
intuitive?
think he's a little bit too determined to the point where he's kind of a little more violent. But I guess the environment probably brings it out.
It's part of his instinct. I think as the story goes on, he becomes his environment.
Oh well, yeah, that's yeah.
Would that be like, I know this is probably off topic, but nature nurture? Because he was at first, he was raised at home, now, do you think I'm bringing
I
up...
don't know about that much.
No?
I know he definitely becomes more to nature.
Yeah.
Or he becomes more to... There's this difference between being domesticated and being of the wild.
Yeah.
And the more that you are with the wild, the more that you have to fetch for yourself in the wild,
The more you become, right?
yeah, the less likely you are to become in being able to readapt.
Right.
Yeah, like he didn't really do a whole lot before he was dog napped, and then he became like the super dog.
He worked his way up.
Oh, yeah.
What isn't it? There's
He climbed a ladder with all four
the name of the
legs.
dog that he overdid.
It was Spitz, I believe.
Yeah, Spitz was the dog
Oh,
that he.
spit. Oh, just kidding.
Yeah, Spitz was the dominant one. He was the pack leader, but Buck wanted Adam, and he got Adam.
Sure.
But then there was this whole case of going through different people, which that leads us to our next question.
How would you describe humanity as is portrayed in this short novel?
Not very optimistically.
Not really. Yeah, I agree with you, Josh. Because
Greedy,
selfish.
yeah, they're
Materialistic.
clueless.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like...
Thornton was, he was a more positive influence to humanity.
So there was some hope for humanity.
But unfortunately, Thornton and his men were brought down by the natives.
Okay.
So the good people in the story, they failed to do anything. They failed to be able to develop.
I basically sum it up as 4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
Like Animal Farm.
Yes.
And if you have 3 legs, well, never mind.
Well, I don't really know the 3 legs thing, but I don't
It's
know.
a really bad
Basically,
joke.
all the people in the book, except for Thornton and his crew, were kind of dumb, and I didn't like them. And until he showed up, I was kind of like on the whole book. I don't know.
The French Canadians were just in it for. They were just
Yes.
business people, I would say. They were just.
They were cutthroat
And
businessmen.
they had no issue selling them, and then the other Hal and Charles,
Yes.
they had no idea how to get themselves out of a cardboard box,
And neither do I, and I have a 4-year degree.
but then they tried to they were not feeding them and
Yeah.
seeing them die off, and that's when
I think they actually would beat the dogs as well.
yeah, they did beat them. They were just.
They were morons. You could say it. It's okay. You can say it. They were stupid. They were idiots. They were terrible characters.
They were garbage reality show morons. That kind of.
Oh, like Jersey Shore, that crap?
I think like they make Jersey Shore look good, and that people on Jersey
No.
Shore weren't beating animals.
Yeah, oh, that's true.
Right.
But here's what I do with my TVs of recent. What's that plug? Oh, here it is. Yeah, Comcast? Yeah, we only have 2 TVs now. Okay, bye. Yeah, but basically, you know, you're right. It was a reality TV show. Yeah, it would have been. It probably could be made into a TV show.
I think what could pretty much be said is that humanity
It's non-existent.
It's overrated
Oh, yeah.
in Jack London because Jack London was the way that he thought. He was an atheist that believed that the death of a human is just as is meant to be observed the same way as the death of a mosquito. So, splat a mosquito and it's dead. It's the same thing as human gets run over by a bus.
I've walked in
It's a little dark.
Yeah, it is.
That's the way he thought.
Well, put the light on.
I'm just quoting him.
Bad pun.
Oh yeah, I know people like that. They instead of writing books on animals in the wild, they typically populate Reddit now.
What's Reddit?
It's an online thing.
No, I don't know. I don't know what Reddit is.
I'll explain later.
Okay. I have Facebook, that's it. And Yahoo.
Trying to think about the book. I don't know. I think that
Reddit.
the human characters being terrible was probably the point of the book, because basically people don't treat animals very well, which we all know from those depressing ASPCA commercials. on
Thank you,
TV.
Sarah Laughlin.
Yeah. But like.
It's Sarah McLaughlin.
Whatever.
So
Stick
I
to
guess
Full House.
making you not like the humans, and then like the only good humans in the story end up being brutally murdered, was to show that it's actually a good thing for Buck to go join the wild wolves and basically be like their alpha. So I guess like as much as I didn't enjoy that part, it served its purpose.
Ready? You want to go to the next question?
The Call of the Wild has been deemed as Jack London's symbolic autobiography. Would you agree or disagree with this statement?
For me, I have only read the Call of the Wild. I only read it, and that was the only book I read from Jack London. And I said to myself, you know what? This is really good. This is a really good piece of literature.
I think that Jack London spent years in the Klondike area.
Klondike Bar? Oh.
He was. Most of his work comes from the Yukon.
Okay.
The deep Northwest.
Right.
There are parts of the novel that there are parts of his life that can be compared to this. The fact that you have to fetch for yourself, and that
You have to make your
the
own
longer
bed.
you spend out in the wild, you really break away from nurture completely.
Would you say you become more rustic?
Perhaps. That may be a possibility.
I mean, you adapt to your surroundings.
Mhm.
That's basically it. You adapt to your surroundings. If I was to go to a tiki bar, all right, even though I don't drink, I'd still probably be smashed on the water. But if I was to go to a 5-star restaurant, yes, I'll have the caviar, even though I don't know what that is. So you adapt to your surroundings. There's a time and place for everything. Same in this case, you know. This dog, Buck was mostly his job was to pull a sled with men on it and goods on it. Excuse me. but that was his job, and then he became the lead dog. So I don't want to say too much for those of you.
That's the way you have to work your. That's the way you have to work your way up in the world.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Sometimes you have to challenge the people that are in
authority.
In the authority, if you disagree with their methods.
Yeah. And today you just go to HR. Human resources.
Depends. If you're in a union, it's all about seniority.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They don't care if you have several PhDs or anything. Nah. He's been here a day longer than you, which has actually happened to me. I went in for a job and I don't want to even go into it.
I'm thinking about this book as like an allegory for like human stuff, and I was thinking like it's probably such an enduring classic, not because of the fact that it has wonderful doggies that are horribly terrorized by how terrible people are, but it's more popular because it's something that everybody can relate to. People can have a comfortable life, and then something bad happens, and they have to connect with that whole primitive nature. So therefore, it would be like it's something like even if you're like some mid-40s office dude is reading this, and I'm like, then he's like, yeah, I can relate to that. I'm gonna go into the wild and be like Thoreau for like a year or something.
Oh, okay. I could see that happening.
A 40-year-old office guy? Oh, okay.
They're always having midlife crises.
But
So.
the difference is Thoreau put himself in the situation. Buck had to adapt to this. It was.
Well, yeah.
It was a matter of.
I wonder what Henry David Thoreau was thinking. I have to get away from all this. Yeah, what?
He was trying to prove a point to himself and to everybody else.
And also get people to use pencils more and not the post office or whatever.
And he also told people that they should not pay a tax that would support something that they do not believe in.
And that's why he did I think he did like 1 or 2 nights in jail.
Yes, he did. He did time in jail because he wouldn't pay.
I think it was just 1
tax
or 2 nights.
That funded the Mexican War.
Yeah. He did the right thing, basically.
And
he stood up for his
He
rights.
was against anything that would fund abolition. Any final thoughts?
Next time in like the next universe, when I'm being told to read this book again, can somebody please warn me of the horrible animal brutality that's involved in it? Because I was very upset at first. Otherwise, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it went well with the last book I read, which was Under a Painted Sky by Stacey Lee, which is basically about 2 girls that disguise themselves as boys and hit the trail looking for gold with these cowboys. So it was like basically olden times and gold rush and stuff. I mean, they were different, but it made me like, oh yeah, nature's awesome.
I look, for me, well written, well thought out, good plot, good snop, everything was great about it. I agree with you, Kim. I don't like the brutality, Of course, now today we have all these laws, which is good, but, if you're going to, use a mule next time, not a poor innocent dog that had a home,
I thought it was just okay. I thought it was short. It was also slightly dry, but...
Or we put some water on it and then it becomes wet.
I would say that I liked Buck as a character, but it was just things just happened. It wasn't very much. It wasn't so in depth, but I don't know.
You said it was something like dense. We were talking earlier.
I did say I thought it was a bit dense. I think that even if it's short, I think it really takes. I think a lot of Jack London's work, it takes the need to connect, and you really need to get at what he's saying. I started reading White Fang, and that's longer, and it's also his work. That's a few of those naturalistic works, but then again, probably the most accessible naturalistic work in bringing its point across is The Open Boat by Stephen Crane.
That's a good story.
As a person who reads mostly children's and young adult stuff, I thought like
do you like Thomas the Tank Engine?
No, I have no familiarity with it, but I was kind of surprised that I couldn't connect with it well, but it's probably mostly because like the writing style was far removed from what I'm used to reading, because this book is older than time itself, as in over 100 years. So
You don't know who Thomas the Tank Engine is?
I know who he is. I just haven't read his stuff.
Okay.
Skip it.
You're talking about 100 years with the Call of the Wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like most of the stuff I read is more current and contemporary, and usually written in first person or with a more, clear and not as dense way of writing. But
Dense. It's a funny word.
it's just the way. It's just kind of. It's different writing styles, so that's probably the issue I had. But otherwise, I liked it when I was able to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
Same here.
I would say.
I thought it was, had a good plot, but, this parts I don't agree with. Dog nap, okay?
I think we can mutually say check it out, but with keeping in mind that it's dense and there is animal cruelty.
Yes, there is.
Oh yeah.
There is animal brutality.
Sarah McLean's not going to be happy with this one.
No. If you're
Go
interested
back and
in
hit on Jesse on
checking out 3 of Jack London's works, so Call of the Wild, White Fang, and To Build a Fire. This is the Modern Library Classics edition.
I still can't see
There's an
these.
introduction by E.L. Doctorow. I also own The Sea Wolf. I heard a lot of good things about that as
Build
well.
a Fire. I saw the film.
That's a short story.
Yeah, I saw the film
Yeah, it's a short
adaptation to
story.
that in a business and writing class I took. And I'm like, this is pretty good. We didn't do much with it, but we watched it. We had to write a report on it, and that was basically. He said, just keep the report. I'm like, okay.
Very good.
But it was a good short story.
That's a good thing to know about that.
Yeah.
maybe
that's a good place to start if you want to start short with Jack London and then work your way up.
There was also a film adaptation of White Fang back in the 90s, I think. Did it star Ethan Hawke or someone that was around Ethan Hawke's age at the time, I think? So you might want to look at that too.
We'll probably leave a footnote if we find other ones.
Yeah. You want to put a link on there?
Yeah, I'll do that.
That's okay.
Already be sure to join us next time for another episode of Literary Gladiators. For now, keep reading.